Good afternoon. My name is Vaughan Lewis. I work for the National Science Learning Network, and today's Hangout is just to have a quick look at our teacher and support staff recognition scheme. I'm going to go through a few of the different points of why we've developed this, how it may be a benefit to you or your colleagues, and how you can get involved, and the advantage of doing so. So I will switch over briefly to a presentation on this. All this will be available to share afterwards, and we'll also make sure the slides are available independently of the video. But if you want to share this, it should be live very shortly following this recording. So the teacher support staff recognition schemes have been developed over the last few years with a few key objectives. First of all, it was make sure it's free to enter for anybody who wants to. It's out there to make sure that we are helping promote your good science teaching and support of that science teaching. So not just for teachers, but also for support staff, including technicians, teaching assistants, and anyone else who's been involved in improving science education within a school or college. It's all about recognising impact. So it's not just a measure of your attendance on CPD or taking part, but also actually how that's made a difference inside your school, college, classroom to pupils, or more widely than that. And we want to use it as a way of people sharing best practice, good practice across colleagues, across science educators and support staff. And ultimately, we hope that recognition of this and what difference you're making following CPD is going to help contribute to your career and your career progression. There are 3 levels of award. We've got effective, leading, and national expert STEM teacher or support staff. These 3 levels are designed to recognise your contribution, the impact you're having at different amounts of contribution, different points in your career. You do not have to enter at level 1 and then progress through those. You choose the one that's most relevant to you. So for an effective STEM teacher, really we're looking for somebody who can show they've taken part in CPD, they've taken that on board, and they're really having an impact following that CPD back in their school or college. At level 2, for the leading STEM teacher or support staff, that's not just making sure you have an impact on yourself and the impact on pupils you work with through your work, but also you're going back with that CPD and you're sharing it with colleagues. That could be at your school or college, or across a cluster, or other colleagues that you work with on a regular basis, if you work in an alliance or similar. And that means that they're having an impact following CPD you've taken part in, gone back and shared with others. And at the national expert level, this is taking it a stage further. So not only have you worked with your colleagues, with your across your alliance or within your school or college, but you're taking that more widely on a regional or national basis. It could be that you have taken part in CPD, and following that, you then come to take part in the National Science Learning Network as someone who's helped run part of the course. Or an example of a technician in the previous year had set up a network for technicians across the Birmingham area following CPD that he'd taken part in. There are a number of criteria that you need to demonstrate that you've fulfilled to gain the awards. Those criteria are listed on screen. There's a certain amount of CPD, depending on which level, going from 5 to 10 days per year. Not all of this CPD has to be provided by the National Science Learning Network through a Science Learning Partnership or at the National Science Learning Centre in York. However, some of it must be. So this is a system for us recognising people that have taken part in some CPD from us, but we're not expecting it all to be delivered through the National Science Learning Network. You then need to show that you've got more CPD plans. You've got an evidence of what you're going to do with that, and for the higher levels, how you've then shared that either within your school, college, and with your colleagues, or more widely. You also need something to demonstrate that your work is good to excellent. That isn't in the form of necessarily an Ofsted grade. However, it is comes in from getting statements from your peers, from your line managers, whoever within the school can write to say that they know the level of your work. And then finally, most importantly, is that you can show some impact. So that impact we're really looking for is that it's making a difference to pupils and students within your school or college. You may not be able to do direct impact on everything as there, but we want to be able to show that you are making an impact within the school college, and that impact is having an effect on pupils and students. And that's really at the heart of this scheme. We're asking for each application to be evidence-based. There are a few areas you have to fill in. The opening statement explains why you believe you meet the requirements, and linked to the evidence you've got to support that. The evidence doesn't go into that area. You can include evidence separately. That evidence can include test scores, it could include pupil questionnaire results, it can include feedback from parents, colleagues, any of these areas at all that you can show that there's actually evidence of impact. You need to have a list of the CPD you've undertaken, what you've got from it, and what you've then done with that to incorporate it into your teaching or wider practice if you're not a teacher. You then need to be able to show what that impact of that CPD has been, short and long term, on your teaching or practice and on pupil outcomes. This is the most important section of what we're expecting back, and that needs to be supported by evidence. So the evidence there needs to be evidence of the CPD, evidence that you have made an impact, and that can all be supplemented by supporting statements, each of which do not have to be massively long, however, do need to explain the impact, be related to the impact that you're having. Very simple to apply. On our website, you just need to follow a web link to slcs.ac.uk/recognise, and you'll be taken to this page. If you just go to the slcs.ac.uk webpage, you will see there it's within the accreditation section, and there are links to the 3 different levels and also previous holders of the awards. Those 3 levels there will describe to you what is needed at each level, and you can also then go on to download the entry form and guidance notes. So once you're on that page, click on one of those 3, either the effective STEM teacher, support staff, leading, or national expert, and those will take you to the relevant pages. So this is an example of one of the pages you go to. This is for the effective STEM teacher, and on there it tells you a little bit of background, closing date which is 27th of April, and the minimum requirements for a successful entry. And at the bottom of that page you'll see that you can download the entry form and guidance notes. The entry form is very similar for each one has a slightly different heading, asks for slightly different things, but the guidance notes will be specifically linked to that level to make sure that you talks about the minimum requirements and what you must do to meet them. The entries into the scheme will also automatically be put forward towards the Infused Celebration Awards. These are yearly awards that are hosted by the Wellcome Trust. This year's ceremony will be in London in June, and they are looking for entries into 3 categories. You don't need to do anything extra to enter. By putting an application into the recognition scheme, you'll automatically be entered into these awards. The 3 categories are for leading science technician, primary science leader, and secondary science leader. And those 3 will be selected from the entries we get. The shortlisted people will be invited to an awards dinner held in London. This year at the Wellcome Trust, last year it was at House of Commons, where we invite partners, we invite MPs and press, and at the end of the evening awards are made in those 3 categories. Taking part will also help you gather evidence for other forms of recognition, particularly professional recognition. So there are particularly 2 areas. If you're interested in becoming a registered science registered technician, the RSci Tech, then you can use the portfolio of things you pull together to help you towards that registration. It certainly doesn't replace this, but it is a stepping stone on the way to be able to do that, and will recognise part of what is needed to become a registered technician. There's also Chartered Science Teacher status, and for that, again, we're working with the ASE to make sure that the work you've done taking part in our recognition scheme will automatically go towards gaining that Chartered Science Teacher status, which means you won't have to do some of the additional work to extend what you've done. to become a chartered science teacher. Information is available on two web addresses listed there. If you go to the ASC, they'll have information on both those, and if you look at the professional development area of the website, you'll be able to find out more. Got a little bit here about some other people that have taken part. Again, I'll leave them on screen for a moment or two, but Sarah Eames took part last year and was one of the winners of the Infused Celebration Awards. She came from primary school. She got involved through our alumni, which is a group of anybody who's been on courses with us can join the alumni, and each year we have an alumni conference, and at that conference she talked to people that had taken part previously. It's not something she considered before that, but she took part, found that she already had most of the information she needed in a format that she could enter very simply, put an entry in, and wasn't confident she was going to do very well, but having reviewed that and gone forward, she ended up winning one of the national awards, and she's done some fantastic work with Sandfield Close Primary School. We've also had people that have been commenting on Twitter, so if you look at some of our Twitter feeds, you'll see that we have Emma, who's one of the science technicians, who, again, last year took part, found it very useful, and also found that it actually helped back at school, getting her some recognition within the school from the school principal. And we have a video from a past participant, which link will be shared with you. It's available on the website, so again, if you go to the recognise part of our website, you'll see there's a video which describes taking part and the benefits that people have had from taking part in previous years. So next steps, if you're interested in taking part, you go to the website, slcs.ac.uk/recognise, download the application form and guidance notes. You then have until the 27th of April to complete your entry, and then completed entries should be sent to award-entry@slcs.ac.uk by that date. That email address is on the guidance notes and on the form, so it's there for you, but you have almost 2 months to complete that. Just remember some of the basics. It needs to be able to show impact, so if you've only been on CPD in the last couple of weeks, you won't yet have enough evidence to be able to do that, but previous to Christmas, I expect you will have some evidence. You need to be able to get a statement of support from senior line managers within your school or college, and all those entries get put forward automatically to the Infused Celebration Awards. Not sure if we had any questions. John's going to look on those today.
There was one from Ian Horswell, talking about Seaside Tech, the Seaside Tech, how will this work, which you answered as you went through.
Fine. So, yeah, Seaside Tech question answered it. So, at the moment, it helps you gather information in one place. It will help put that in context for Seaside Teach. But what we're working on with ASC over the next few weeks to months is how that can actually be used automatically to count towards that Seaside Teach. And we're going to do similar things for the R-Side Tech as well. So that's it. This recording will be available following this Hangout session. Don't forget, you can find out more about us through our social media platforms, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, and I've forgotten one, YouTube, there we go. And again, links will be available through this. We will, anything you've got questions following this, please feel free to contact us through any of those, or write to the award entry email address. I hope you'll share this with other people. We'll make these links live to this video on YouTube as soon as it's available, and we look forward to seeing your entries. Thank you very much.